All right, welcome to another exciting episode of Prepper Talk Radio. I am Scott, and I've got Shane and Paris here with me. As usual, how you doing, guys?
Doing good.
Fantastic. My life is good. Really good.
Really good. Sometimes I like to wear stretchy pants.
I can see that with you,
In
Scott.
my room.
I can see that.
I wear sweats. They're comfortable. Whenever I'm done working, I put on my stretchy pants, eat my dinner, and chill with the kids. Well, today's episode is all about mindset. And we're going to come at it from a little bit different way than we've talked about it before. But I think you as a listener and as an audience and as our family are really going to appreciate what we're talking about tonight, because a proactive mind is a ready mind. And our goal is to help you become ready-minded. And in addition to that, we want to give you the knowledge that we have and that of our guests that we bring on from time to time. But we also want to bring you some really good beneficial things, such as the products that we love. With that, I want to remind you guys, check out survivalfrog.com. They have fully cooked 25-year shelf life. You don't have to reconstitute. You don't have to rehydrate. You don't have to do a million things to make this food ready to eat. But it's ground beef, and chicken, shredded beef and shredded chicken. And it is delicious. We've all taste tested it. We have all taste tested it, and I like it. Well, actually, have we all taste tested it? I know 2 of us have.
The 2 of you have.
Okay, 2 out of 3 Prepper Talk Radio hosts recommend this product.
I'll be doing a separate video on the on it with some of my thoughts and feelings, so be watching out for that.
I love it. I did a TikTok for it a while ago. And I did an Amazon clickable video for it because I just think it's a fantastic product. But you guys can get an extra discount on that. Use the code PrepperTalk. You'll save another, I think, 10% on anything you order there. So keep using that. And the cool thing is we make a little tiny commission, a few bucks here and there. That'll help support the show and bring you more episodes. Also, as we're wrapping up the year and you're thinking about what am I going to do next year, make sure you go to preppertalkradio.com and download the free resources on the free stuff page. Get those. We've got lists to help you figure out what you want in your 96-hour kits, lists to help you with what you need in your car. We've also got book recommendations and library items that we recommend. And my favorite, our food storage calculator and tracking system. You can download those for free there. Just give us your email and we'll give you the downloadable link. Now, mindset. This is probably one of the most important topics, in my opinion, going forward in life, not just in the new year as we're rounding up at the end of the year, but in life. Things are going to get harder and harder, and you need to have a stronger mind, a greater resolve to be committed. And I think where I'm coming from this is, I think apropos to a video that you sent to me late last week or early this week, Paris. If you want to cue that up, but this goes into discipline versus motivation, and a couple other videos kind of popped up in my feeds over the last few weeks that I'm like, man, these all go together. We need to talk about this. But mindset is what makes the difference. Whether you're motivated or not, whether you're disciplined or not, like, it starts in the mind. You cannot become a disciplined person without first training your mind and starting that. If you could hit play, let's launch into that video.
All right.
Everybody says discipline is so important, but they never want to tell you why. I'll tell you why discipline is so important. It's the strongest form of self-love. It's ignoring something you want right now for something better later on. Discipline reveals the commitment you have to your dreams, especially on days where you don't want to. The future you is depending on the current you to keep the promises you made to yourself yesterday.
Wow.
That's so powerful.
The future you, that statement right there, the future you is waiting.
Is depending
on the commitments you made yesterday. Is that right? I'm butchering it.
Yeah, no, the future you is waiting on you.
Now we're all going to get it wrong.
We're all going to get it wrong. The future you is
depending
on you, on the current you, to keep the promises that you made to yourself.
And that's really what it is. It's like we all make plans, but do we make promises?
Mm-hmm.
right? We all have goals and ambitions, but do we really keep the promises that we make, or even make promises to make these things happen? You know, one of the reasons I'm so just full of vigor about preparedness is because I made a promise to myself a long time ago that my family would not go without.
Yeah.
And it's like, you can only control so much in life. You can't control the world. And if you're trying to, you're probably like riddled with anxiety and depression. But what you can control is your little world. Your let's go macro and microeconomics, right? Micro is what you can control, the super little tight niche, your home, your household. But you, obviously, like if you got teenagers, you know you can't control them. And if you got toddlers, you can't control them. You can guide them, but you can control all the elements that are coming into the house, such as extra food storage, water, training, knowledge, education, spiritual guidance. Like those are the things you have power over. And are you making a promise to yourself and keeping that forefront in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny. I was watching a video on social media, and it was a police officer who posts his dash cam, and he pulled over a couple of guys who had some road rage, and they were just angry with each other, you know, flipping the bird, screeching through, going 70, 80 miles an hour in a 40-mile-an-hour zone, trying to cut each other off, all this stuff. And he gave them both a ticket, and he both basically said, look, you're at criminal levels of speed here. And it was interesting. What kind of shocked me about the video is when he said, I would highly recommend, you know, obviously here's the ticket. You got to pay the ticket. You got to go show up in court. And then he says, I highly recommend you read a few books on stoicism to learn to control your emotions. Because if you get triggered this bad and you're putting all these people in danger, there's some things you need to work on. And I was just like, wow, he told both drivers that they need to work on their stoicism. And that goes back to, in my opinion, to mindset as well. And that's such a great thing. There's so many things right now that are trying to trigger us. And we hear all the things about trolls and triggerings, and like, who's in control of your emotions anyways? You or the people around you or the things that are happening in the world? And I feel like we need to be, aware of what's going on in the world, but let's control ourselves and have some control and keep control, so that we don't lose it and make mistakes that are going to cost us.
Yeah, the word that comes to mind, and I've mentioned this before, is that I have learned to like hard things that are hard, right? So when it comes to talking about discipline is not an easy thing, right? You think that, I think of when I was young. I've got young kids and I see them struggling with certain things, and it's the same things I struggled with as a child, and it really comes down to discipline. It comes down to making my bed, keeping my room clean, doing your homework, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's all driven by desires, but discipline is, I think, the driving word there. And if we have the mindset that life is hard, I mean, it is. If it's easy, what's it worth, right? Is it worth it? Worth much if it's easy? For me, yeah. my answer is no, or not a hard no, maybe. But I do like occasionally having easy times, so you appreciate, life in general. Like life is hard, and it should be hard.
You need to have a lull between the waves pounding you.
You got to have some relief of some sort, right? And then back to work, back to the grindstone. But I think over time, preppers realize, the prepping mindset is, they realize that what they're doing is not easy. It's the harder route, right? It's the higher road. Instead of going along with the world, with society, and trying to have as much convenience and ease as possible. I mean, because that's kind of where the world, not kind of, it's entirely where the world has been heading for a century. Oh, this makes this easier and simpler. And what do I always say? Look to the past. Look to harder things. I think we get more, at least I get, I'll speak for myself, I get more out of my life experiences when they're hard rather than just when they're easy.
Yeah, you learn so much more.
The hard lessons are the ones that really sink in.
Yeah.
And they suck. They hurt, right? They're not fun to go through.
At first.
But yeah, the learning part, the testing phase of that lesson, right? when it gets drilled into you, that's never a fun thing.
Yeah.
But being able to rely back on that knowledge and that experience, that's what gives you wisdom in the future, right? If we look at that and analyze it and keep applying it to fix solutions as we go, it's like everything we do in life, if we're not taking repetitions to improve and to strengthen and to increase our resolve and our fortitude, our mental fortitude, as well as our physical, obviously, then we're not going to be able to withstand the hard things that keep coming. And life does not get easier,
Mm-mm.
right? One of my favorite stories of that is, you guys have probably heard of Cliff Young. Right off the top of your head, the name probably is like giving you nothing, but he was a 61-year-old Australian farmer
Oh, okay, yeah.
who completed a 544-mile run at the age of 61, shattering every record and beating the next best runner by like a day.
Wow.
And did it in his rubber muck boots.
Yes. He had an awkward gait. His run looked weird, but he never stopped. And the thing about that is every athlete looked at him and just laughed. But he had been running day and night his whole life, taking care of his farm and his herds. And those are the repetitions that gave him the fortitude to be able to just keep running. And he knew in his head before he even started the race that he could just keep running. And so he did. That, to me, that is mindset. That is mental discipline. That is fortitude. And right now we're all looking at the world going, okay, what's going to happen with the economy? Is it going to crash today or tomorrow? Is it going to in a week or two, right? What's going on with Ukraine? What's going on with, Palestine and Jerusalem and Israel? Like, there's so much going on that can keep you distracted and keep you from doing the reps you need to be doing in your life to increase in your own personal fortitude and strengths.
Okay, so the words that come to mind when we're talking about, because preppers in general can be skeptical. It can have kind of a scarcity mindset, right? They can very critical, paranoid. Do you want to throw these words out there? I don't know if
That's fine.
they don't necessarily apply to me, right?
It's not paranoia if it's true.
Exactly. But I think this is maybe what the world thinks of us, right?
Yeah.
What are some other words? Of course, the word
Conspiracy
doomsday
theorist.
prepper, conspiracy, doomsday
Tinfoil
preppers get
hat
thrown out
wearers.
there, tinfoil hat, right? And I think to a certain degree that's true, especially maybe at first, right? As you're a new prepper, whatever that means, you start to get into it, and there's some paranoia, and you start because of those thoughts and those concerns and what's happening in the world, and then you realize you start to learn truth and knowledge and wisdom, and your mindset changes. I'm really in my own personal experience, right? I have notebooks after notebooks. I could grab them right here of notes I took when I first started on my journey. My serious journey, right? About 2013 or so, just watching everything, taking notes and making plans. And I think that was done out of a little bit of fear, right? Maybe concern. But as I progress, my mindset changed because I learned truths and gained skills and knowledge and wisdom. And now, man, I am not stressed at all. I used to be somewhat stressed. I don't have a care in the world. Really, because of my mindset. I know that I can solve the problems that are coming for me and my family, even if I don't know what they are, if that makes sense.
A word that I'm reminded of as you speak, Shane, is the word temperance. You've been tempered by time. You've been tempered by the things that are happening around the world, and you're strong. You're solid. You're no longer shifting at every wind of doctrine, as it says in the scriptures. You're anchored in,
like that.
and you have a tempered soul and a wise tempered soul. And I feel like that's a huge amount of mindset too. There's so much. I feel like one of the things that I'm really hoping to do is prepare each day for the day. So the night before, I want to make sure that I know what I'm going to do the next day. And then when I wake up, I don't want to, I've been spending way too many days where I wake up and I'll immediately look at my social media and I get a bunch of anxiety. And what does that do for me for the day? What a horrible way to start the day with some potential, dopamine hits and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to spend some time every morning preparing myself, my mind, my soul, my body, just whether that's, I spend a few minutes in prayer. Every night I read the scriptures, I pray. But every morning I'll wake up, have my water, and think about, I work out. And so I'm going to probably change and not do so much. I'm going to probably have my phone like off for the first hour of my day. That's the one thing that I don't do right now is I get on my phone, my alarm goes off, and I get on my phone, and I'm like scrolling up and down on social media. And I'm like, you know what? That's just not like it's not a mindset for success. And I feel like that's a big thing in whether it's a prepper or anybody in business. Have a mindset of success that you want to have, you want to grow, you want to develop, you want to get better than you were yesterday, every single day. And that's in all aspects of your life, in business, in your preparedness, in your skill sets, just whatever comes at you. And then, with a mindset, you can really have a bad thing happen to you and you can learn a lesson. And one of the greatest quotes I know is that when something bad happens, you can either choose to get bitter or get better. And I'm like, you know what? I want to get better. I want to learn from my mistakes, and I want to be better and not repeat those darn things the next time. So sometimes if I have a situation where I maybe did the wrong thing and I feel like I've got a new resolve to do the right thing the next time, I'll say, hey, God, give me another chance. Give me a chance to test my mettle. See if I'll make the right choice the next time. Put me in a situation where I can do it. And be careful what you ask for, because God's been very good at giving me what I ask for. So just make sure you're doing it with that temperance and with that, okay, I'm ready.
So one of the thoughts that came from that is actually you will divide yourself from people in your life the closer you get to God and the more disciplined you get your mind. People will, and they always do. People, like friends, will like start talking bad about you. They'll be like, oh, are you not satisfied with what you have? Or and they'll start using weird things against you, or at least try to. And this, I rather than try to mumble it out myself, let me play another audio that I heard. This is Joey Diaz.
Not when you have the friends who are telling you, oh, must be nice, or you think you're better than us, or, oh, so we can't drink anymore. That's when you can be like, yeah. Then what? Well, then we wouldn't be friends. You're not going to be friends with them eventually anyways, I promise you. Anyone who says that, you're not going to be friends with. If you want to ultimately become the person you want to become, they're only going to reject you harder and harder until eventually you have nothing to share about. And the only thing that you'll talk about is the past, which, by the way, one of the great leading indicators of, at least in my opinion, of a great way to know when to cut a friend is when they only talk about your past. And so punking the game, and it's one of those really uncomfortable things the first time you do it, but then you get more and more comfortable with it because they're like, I would never live your life. And you're like, I know.
Yeah, that's Alex Hormozy, I think, right?
Yeah, Alex Hormozy. Sorry,
Yeah.
Joey Diaz is the one that posted it. But yeah, Alex Hormozy. And what I love about that is he's applying it to success, but I think that applies so well to preparedness. Like, I've lost friends over prepping. And I've disenfranchised people over prepping. Not by being offensive to them, but they thought I was crazy. And what's funny is they pop up years later and they're like, oh, how'd that prepping go? You're still alive. Everybody's still alive. I'm like, yeah, thanks to my prepping, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
There were times where I lost my job and I had no income for 6 months. And guess what got me through it? The food storage and financial money that I put aside, the things that I set aside for emergencies. That's what prepping is. It's making it so that those emergencies aren't emergencies anymore. It's ensuring your life and your quality of life.
Well, people like to have other people around them that reinforce their beliefs, their values, and so forth. Right. So I think that's absolutely accurate. Is, there are certain people that I thought, well, maybe I want them in my life. And I try to include them in something, and they don't reciprocate. And, okay, that's fine. Those are the kind of people I don't need to have in my life. If they would like me in their life, they can invite me to lunch or whatever it might be. And we'll see how that goes. Right. But just like when we're searching online to learn something more about a topic, we tend to listen to things that only reinforce our own values, our own beliefs, right? Other than that, we reject them. And I think that's absolutely true. preppers tend to have similar values, similar beliefs, and tend to kind of congeal together. They for some reason, although there may be slight differences in certain religious beliefs and so forth, but just that the commonality is very what's the right word? It's strong. It's very desirable. I mean, it's
Yeah. It's
it
magnetic
makes us
almost.
exactly. It's magnetic. It's chemistry, right? Some I don't know if chemistry is the right word, but having the same values of family and valuing time more than anything. For me, that's the thing that's most valuable to me is my time. I don't want to waste my time on anybody or anything. I'm very jealous about my time.
Yeah. Speaking of that, and mentality, I don't know if you guys have heard, but there's this new thing going on TikTok. It's called DINK, dual income, no kids.
Yeah.
And
that's sad.
they're promoting how I got all this money. My husband and I, or my wife and I are making all this money. We have no responsibilities. We can spend it on whatever we want. We have, and there's another one that is, it's Dink Wad with a dog. So it's dual income, no kids with a dog. And so it's Dinkwad. I'm like, you're definitely a Dinkwad.
Holy crap, yeah.
And so but that goes to mentality, in my opinion, because if there's so much of this upcoming generation that they're so selfish that they're only thinking from day to day, maybe even that kind of mentality is a definite paycheck to paycheck, pleasure only, pleasure seeking. We don't want any responsibilities. What I think is it's just so sad that they'll never have any real pressure in their life to grow or develop, or that. I don't know about you guys, but when I see a precious stone, like a diamond, the kind of pressure that has to be under to be developed. And that's the thing we value most. We don't value fake things. We value real diamonds, and diamonds are one of the most valuable things on this earth. And that is only created after significant pressure. The greatest people, the greatest heroes in mythology, in our daily lives, are those that have gone through some of I feel are some of the most trying experiences, and they come out on top, or they come out on the other side of it, and they're not bitter, they're better. And they're like, hey, I learned. And just, you can see it in their soul and their countenance. Their whole body is like, that person is wise and worth listening to. Not these dumb dink kids we want to be so selfish and do whatever we want and spend all of our money and be selfish. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Well, they fall into the weak times, right? Good hard times create strong men create good times create weak men, and weak men create hard times. And they're choosing the path of weakness. And we're trying to choose the path of strength, right? One of the things that has made me a better person has been my children. My wife and my children are the two things that have been the greatest catalysts to making me want to be a better, stronger man, a better version of myself. And raising kids, especially in today's age where things are just coming at you a mile a minute and everything's going nuts all around you, to have that peace in our home of the Holy Spirit abiding with us because we're choosing to follow Jesus Christ, and because I'm choosing to do something that all these dinks won't do. I'm choosing to follow Christ, and I'm focusing on the little ones and helping them to create good times for their future, helping them to be strong. Like, I had a little discussion with my daughter today. She was wanting it right now. And I'm like, no, you're going to have to earn it. Letting her know she's got to do hard things to be able to appreciate it. Because in the past, and I even brought it up, I'm like, in the past, you've done this and you've gotten something without working for it, and then you threw it by the wayside or didn't take care of it. And then you were mad when it got broken and you demanded a new one. And that's not how life works.
Yeah.
And she was mad at me that I wasn't just going to give in and let her do what she wants to. But it's funny because the conversation after is always one of gratitude. Thank you, Daddy. Thank you for letting me learn on my own.
That reminds me of another.
Get stronger. And that's the thing. I want strong kids.
That's another thing that Alex Hormozy said. I think it was maybe in that same interview, a little bit later on, a different clip. But he goes on to say something about how if you had a child and you were responsible with forming this human, like what would you do? Would you give it all the ease of life and everything, or would you put it into challenges and put it up to the test and really see what it could do and give it experiences? And that's true. You wouldn't want to just have everything given to you and have it super easy, because then you end up being a fat slob. But or a lazy, idle-minded person. But if you have tests and you learn something and then you're put to the test and they can develop the experience, that you're going to be a way more productive human being. And you don't learn how to do that really unless you have kids, and you can help create another human being. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Like the things that I've learned as a man, as a person, as a father, as a son of my own to my dad, the things that I've learned by being a dad, by working to develop another human being and mentoring that human being as a father, holy smokes. The lessons are, there's no other way I could learn it. There's literally no other way.
Some great life lessons I have learned from the Andy Griffith Show. when he's teaching Opie, about his allowance, Opie's allowance. We have Andy Griffith Show. We have some of the old shows going on at our house on a regular basis, and Andy Griffith is one of them. And just some of these lessons that are just so straightforward and simple that he teaches Opie and I wish I had some prepared to show you, but go look up some of those clips. Opie's allowance, that's one of them. Andy Griffith Show, just some very straightforward, good, wholesome show. I mean, that's a good show. We love that.
Nice.
So another fantastic mind like Andy Griffith is Marcus Aurelius. I'd probably put him up a little higher though. You guys ever heard of him?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I have.
I don't know. But he has some fantastic quotes. And he's one of the greatest Stoics of all time. He says the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. What are we talking about tonight? We're talking about mindset, self-mastery, right? If you can apply anything to your preps to get better this year, it needs to be mindset. Not allowing yourself, like we talked about earlier, to be kind of driven by all the doctrines of man, or I guess James 1 verse 6, when it talks about how you pray. It says, pray and ask in faith with no doubt. For the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed by it.
Yeah.
Right. Don't have the doubt. Don't follow the directions of all the directions of the world. Focus on that one true star that Jesus Christ is and will come again, and focus on the things that he's taught. Like, look from the Bible for examples in preparedness. Moses is the king of all prepping. I'm sorry, not Moses. Noah. Noah is the king of all prepping.
Yeah.
Dude had over a year's supply of food for him and every animal on his ship. Let that sink in. If you can't get enough food for your family of 4 or 3 or 10 or whatever, think what Noah had to do. Kick yourself in the butt and now put together a plan and get it done.
And he also had a lifetime to prepare as well, right?
He didn't.
Well, he had just as much time as anybody else, potentially. I mean, if you consider it, he might have had 100 years, but so why wouldn't, you have 10 years? Like, what, we don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so either whatever time you have, you fit your time into the time you have. So if you only have a year, shoot, go for it, get on it. But if you got 10 years, obviously don't want to waste your time, but get on it either way.
Yeah. Now, what I was thinking is when you're saying that, Scott, is that whatever the world is doing right now, do the opposite, right? So everyone wants attention. They want to be stars. They want to be celebrities. They want to be have a TikTok, be TikTok famous, or be a what's the right term that everyone wants to be, an influencer right now, right? Me, I just want to be left alone. I don't even want to be here right now doing this. I feel an obligation to do this. That's why I'm here. Otherwise, I just want to be left alone. But I know that's not good for me. Personal. It's just me personally speaking. I don't want to be an influencer. It's not why I'm doing this. I want to be left alone, and that's what I would prefer. And I think in general, that mindset inspires a lot of other good stuff, right? If you let it, right? If you just want to be a hermit and go hide away, I don't think that's good. We as preppers, and I don't know if I really like that word, honestly. It's overused. Anyway, we want freedom. We want to be, and that's what being left alone really means is I want to be free, to do what I want to do, what I feel that I should be doing, that I'm inspired to do without any other outside influence. Just leave me alone to do, of course, law abiding, whatever you want to use that terminology. Don't know if I like that either, but yeah, just leave me alone. I'll see you guys. There you go.
Wait, James, come back.
Yeah, it's I anyway, just leave me alone.
Well, that's what we all want to a degree, right? We want
I would hope
our
so.
peace.
I'd
We
hope
want
so.
our freedom. We want our liberty. I mean, true liberty is to be able to live the way we please without another person's opinion or idea being forced upon us,
Mm-hmm.
right? And without taxation, without all that other
Yeah.
BS. And the
Yeah.
thing is in the world we live in today, that's not entirely possible. However, we should not stop aspiring to that.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's the whole purpose behind the way of living a ready life, right? More than being a prepper. The ready life, as I like to focus my thoughts on, is trying to live a life ready to meet God today. Trying to live a life ready to take on any challenge that may meet me today. Now, does it mean I'm perfect? No. But it means I'm quick to repent, I'm quick to forgive, and I'm quick to take correction from the Lord. And if we can do those things, we'll have the right kind of mindset, the right kind of wisdom, because we're learning and growing in his way and in his will, not just our own. Like, I could study 1,000,000 times over and not get the same understanding of a lesson that the Lord shows me once.
Mm-hmm.
He puts you through the trials you're going through so that you can go through that once and get it. And if you're wondering why you're experiencing the same thing over and over again, you're either asking for the test over and over again, you're not listening, you're not learning, or you just are really bad at life and it's time to fix some things. I've repeated the same lesson so many times when I was younger. I was like, why is this happening over and over to me? Well, I was inviting it, right? We can invite stupid things to happen to us all the time. A lot of that is associating with the wrong people.
Mm-hmm.
Putting ourselves in a position work-wise where we're not living our honest, authentic life. And when I say honest and authentic life, it's not I can be what I want to be. I'm now, I don't know, a lemur jumping from the rocks. Like, no, you can't pretend you're something other than what you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
I am a son of God. I was a son of God before I was born. I was a son of God once I was born, and I will be a son of God as long as I can possibly stay within his graces. And that means eternity, right? That I can't change that. I can't all of a sudden be a sparrow. I can't all of a sudden be a elk marching through the woods, right? I can't change who I am. I can't all of a sudden be a woman. That doesn't work.
Not in real life, not in the real world,
No.
in fairyland world, whatever we're, and that's another thing about mindset too that I really like, is that I believe that I can do anything. And that comes from, you got to build some confidence to be able to do that. But I feel like there's a lot of people out there that have something bad happen to them and they're like, yeah, that's it. Forget it. I'm out. I'm done. There's no way through this. I was, one of the good, a lesson that I learned, I went to a class last night, a CCW training class, for the concealed carry. We ran a scenario and we got to shoot, and it was kind of really cool. And one of the things the instructor said was he says, look, if you feel like you've taken too long and the guy probably would have shot you by now, stay in the fight, because there's so much you can still do. Even if you're shot, even if you have taken a bullet, you can still move forward and you can still take the guy out, take the bad guys out. He gave a scenario of one of the police officers that he worked with years ago. The trainer did. He said we were in a gunfight with a guy, and one of my partners took some fire, and he still moved forward. He moved in, he got rid of the bad guy. We neutralized the threat. And then he was like, oh, I think I've been hit. And so even if you've taken fire in life, you can still move forward and accomplish great things. And sometimes you need to take a break and maybe go to the ER and get rebuilt. But shoot, don't, just because you got beat down, don't think you're out of the game. You're still in the fight if you're alive.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And
keep going.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe even more than mindset is, not panicking when something, like you say, Paris. I feel I can do anything. Whatever challenge comes up, I'm up for it. At least I think I am. Right? Getting shot, I don't know about that. I don't know how I'd react to that. Getting shot and then be able to continue on, and then afterwards remaining calm. And anyway, I mean that's a whole nother story right there. But you're absolutely right. Having the mindset that, hey, I can do this. I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure it out. And like you say, that comes through experience and comes through trial and error. And like you said, Scott, making mistakes and trying 2, 3, 4, 5 times to get it right, but eventually get it right, but not giving in, like, saying, I'm done. I can't figure this out. And then turn it over to somebody else. Right.
So I think in winding this up, taking everything we've talked about, mindset mastery, taking it to the level of focusing on having a willing mind, willing to go through and subject yourself to tough things. Because essentially, really, if you want to be good at something, you have to suck at it first. You have to be bad at it first. Any art, any skill, any trade, everything you do, you were bad at it at one point. Anything that you're like phenomenally good at now, it took a learning curve and it took a stress curve to get to where you are now. So keep your mind willing and open to continue to learn and to continue to strengthen and focus on the key principles that matter most.
Yeah. One last comment, Scott, that word willing, I love it. Of course, that takes me back to the Matrix, the last, the third one where he says, why do you persist? Why do you persist? Because I choose to. I love that, and so it absolutely comes down to being willing.
Well, guys, thanks for participating in this episode. Thank you for downloading and sharing and following all of our socials. Make sure you check us out at preppertalkradio.com. And also be sure to check out those deals over at survivalfrog.com using the code PrepperTalk. That'll save 10%. And you can honestly try that code any website you go to buy prepping stuff. It'll probably work. We've got so many friends out there that are working with us. So make sure you check those things out. Have a wonderful day. Stay ready-minded, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
See you next week.
Take care, guys.